Welcome to Driving the Lane with Randy Kryenbrink and Chuck Rowe. Now, Driving the Lane.
All right.
Welcome to Driving the Lane. Randy Kryenbrink, Chuck Rowe, the show where we talk about one thing and one thing only, and that is
Panther basketball.
Now, it's important that we remind you that even though we are the official UNI basketball show for the Panther Collective, our comments may not reflect the feelings of our friends at UNI. However, Randy is a former player, even though we can't see him right now, and I watched the Panthers during Christmas break, so this show is as official as it's going to get. So joining us today, we have UNI Panther, Ben Schwieger joining us, and of course, the financial architect's quote of the week. Let's get started. We're thrilled to have with us today UNI Panther, drum roll please, Ben Schwieger. Thanks for joining us today, Ben.
Thanks for having me.
Now, you played high school during COVID, and your last 2 years, you kind of had some health issues and some lineup kind of dealings that you were working with at Loyola. What's it like finally playing a normal year of basketball again?
It's definitely strange. It's been a while, but I've been really enjoying it. Got here over the summer and had a great summer of work with the guys and the coaches, and now we're in the swing of things with the season and the conference play, and it's been going great.
So obviously you were friends with Hut, right? Jacob, and so how did you end up entering the portal, and then how did you end up making the decision to come to UNI and become a Panther?
Yeah, so I entered the portal after my season at Loyola, and I obviously knew that Huddy went to Northern Iowa, and so that was one of the schools that was reaching out to me. So I talked to Huddy about it. Took a visit here, and Huddy showed me around campus and kind of around town, and kind of like what the guys like to do in their free time. And honestly, he just really helped me to like show me the campus and show me what the culture is like here, and just explain what his transition was like from Loyola to Northern Iowa, and kind of explained how I would fit into that too.
So question on top of that is, was Northern Iowa recruiting you prior to the portal, or was it because of the portal you ended up at UNI?
I got some recruitment from Northern Iowa out of high school, but it wasn't like the strongest out of the Valley schools at the time. I think I only got like reached out a couple of times, maybe by like mail out of high school.
It started off with maybe in high school, just the ball boy reached out to you, but by the end, Seth Tuttle and Coach Jake were starting to maybe
Yeah.
call you a little more. Yeah, okay. So, well, when you were talking to Huddy before you actually transferred, what were some of like those hopes and dreams maybe you talked about? Like, what kind of things did you see for this season that you were hoping would happen?
Yeah, obviously one of our goals is conference championship and make it to the postseason tournament. And another one on my list is 20-win season. I think those are like our big goals. Um, but I mean, at the top of the list is always that championship and making it to March Madness. Like that's always going to be the top of the list.
Well, again, the past couple seasons you had some illness, and then getting back in the lineup was a little tough for you. What was it that Coach Jake told you about your role that encouraged you to choose UNI?
He just told me that he's going to value me as a person and a player, and that I'm going to have the opportunity to make things happen and contribute to a program. And so, as long as that opportunity is there, I'm going to make the most of it. And that's kind of all we talked about.
Maybe talk to us a little bit about your high school career, where you played, all that fun stuff. Introduce yourself to some of our listeners.
Yeah, so I'm from Aurora, Illinois, which is a western suburb of Chicago, about an hour west of the city. I played at Waubonsie Valley High School, and yeah, we had a pretty good squad. I think we went 27-5 for a couple years. I was on the freshman team my freshman year, and then sophomore year I got bumped up to varsity, um, and just kind of like was a role player my sophomore year, and then junior year and senior year I was a starter. And then of course we mentioned it earlier. My senior year was COVID, which was a little different of a season. We had a shortened season, less games, and there was no postseason tournament. It was just one game at the end of the year, and that was it. So it was weird, but it was a good time. We had some good squads in high school.
Between your sophomore and junior year, though, and I know you're being a little bit humble right now, but you kind of exploded between those years. What happened during those years that made you make that huge jump from your success from that sophomore to junior year?
Yeah, I think a little bit of it was I had a little bit of a growth spurt. I went from like 5'11" to like 6'4", so that
Wow.
definitely helped. Um, just being able to use my body more on the basketball court. Um, and then I think it's also just like finding your role on the team and just figuring out what you can do and like what your abilities allow you to do. And we had a really like senior heavy team my sophomore year when I was a role player. So I was just kind of like taken under their wings and they kind of showed me the ropes and how to play the game right. And I never played AAU either, which is a little different than most people because I played volleyball in the spring.
Hmm.
So yeah, those older guys really helped me a lot and helped develop my game. And then once they left and they graduated, people had to step up, and so I was just lucky to be one of those people.
That was going to be one of my questions. Was obviously youth today get caught up since like fifth, sixth grade. They get caught up in this travel basketball, AAU. They become basically a one sport athlete at some point early on. Volleyball. Talk to us about volleyball.
Yeah, so I don't know. I picked up volleyball just freshman year of high school, just because like eighth grade we'd play in gym class, and I'd be with my buddies, and it was fun. So I was like,
Right.
all right, let's go do it. And so
Interesting.
a couple of friends to go out and try out for the team, and we all made it and had a good time freshman year. And then throughout the season, they just kind of like moved me up to sophomore and then JV and then varsity. So by the end of freshman year, I was playing on varsity, and
Yeah.
they thought I could be something good.
So, besides the captain obvious answer of jumping and leaping, how else did volleyball maybe help you in the sport of basketball?
Yeah.
It's a good question. Yeah, I mean, that obviously the jumping ability that's where I got my 2 foot bounce from. Uh, and I think the footwork carries over a little bit for
Yeah.
sure. You're approaching to hit or block. Um, the maybe your like second jump when you jump, you hit the ground, quick contact, going back up to block or get a rebound or something.
Very
Um,
true.
yeah, I think those would be the most that carry over.
Yeah.
That's my problem, Randy. I need to join a volleyball team.
That's it, Chuck. I think volleyball was what you're missing.
Yes,
That's
yes.
that's
I'm
what you
gonna
need.
add that in my repertoire. So,
Yeah,
um,
exactly.
so you have RJ that goes down for the season. How does the
Hmm.
team rally around him? How did you prep to get inserted into the lineup after that?
Yeah, obviously unfortunate that RJ went out. That kid works so hard. He's always in the gym. And yeah, it's tough to lose a player like that. But I think it really brought us closer together because we had that rally point. And we could fight for games for him because we know after all the work that he's put in, he can't be out there on the court and he has to sit there and not be able to play. So I think that kind of helps give us some perspective of how easily things can be taken away and why we need to value every second on the court together. And so I think that's kind of helped us push through some adversity throughout games too.
Well, now that you're in the starting lineup, it's kind of a very intriguing starting lineup because between you, Huddy, tight end Trey, and Leon, there is not really a true point guard in the bunch now. Tell us about offensively how that maybe changes the scheme and some of the roles that might have changed since RJ went down.
Yeah, so I mean Trey Campbell's on the ball right now as our one, and he's usually like a two guard for us when RJ was at the point. But it's great because I mean all four of us, Huddy can even bring it up. All five of us can really take the ball up and start the offense, and then once we get into it, we're just kind of flowing with it. Um, so it's just nice to have such a versatile starting five. Um, and we can move around positions easily, and it doesn't really change anything in our offense because we're so interchangeable. So I mean, it doesn't change that much because once we get into our offense, we're in the swing of things, and anybody can kind of initiate that.
Well, all five players in the starting lineup are averaging 9 points or more per game. This is, again, kind of a captain obvious kind of answer, maybe, but maybe you could explain a little bit more of how fun is it compared to playing in a lineup where maybe one guy is averaging, over 20 points a game?
It's definitely fun. Yeah, it just shows that we share the ball. We're not worried about one guy getting their buckets, and they're not thinking about the rest of the team. It just shows that we're all selfless, and that's a fun way to play basketball.
Well, you're a bit of a jack of all trades type of player. You do a little bit of everything. Is there a certain stat that you enjoy seeing, like points, rebounds, steals, etc., that you enjoy seeing in the box score more than another?
I'd say rebounds. I think that kind of shows like when I look at the box score after games, if I see my rebounds are at a good count, like that shows that I'm involved in the game. I'm being physical, I'm crashing, like I'm finishing plays.
And after the Valpo game, Jake talks about the team needing to basically work harder than the other team, is what it comes down to. What does that mean to you when you heard that?
Yeah, I mean everybody works hard and plays hard. But these Valley games are all so close. Like they're always going to be a dogfight in the Valley. So it's really just going to come down to who executes better and who wants it more. Because all these Valley games are going down to the wire. And it comes down to those last 5 to 10 minutes of the game, where you need to extend a lead or keep a lead. And so if you want it more than the other team, you're going to execute and you're going to run your plays and you're going to get good looks, and then you're going to go get stops on defense and you're going to close out that game. So that's kind of what we're talking about when we say that.
So when we sit out here as spectators, right, we see a lot of things going on where Seth Tuttle will throw up a whiteboard that says something on it. Is it kind of like, so obviously he's calling offensive plays, right? When you guys see that, is there any time he throws up something that's just a trick thing that tries to trick the other team that thinks we're running something and we're really not running it? Or is every time he throws it up, it's like, yeah, we're running number 12 or whatever that is?
I don't know if I should expose that because what if
That's a good point.
Holy
Okay.
smokes,
Which
wow.
I've seen enough of Coach Jake and Coach McDermott, right? And I've seen enough of those guys coach and do their thing, where I can't imagine how their playbook has to be bigger than like the NFL offensive playbook. Like have you ever been in a system that has that creativity and all of that stuff?
yeah, Loyola was like that too.
They were.
There's just so many options and so many reads off of every play that
Yeah.
it's a lot to remember for sure.
When you played, Randy, were there a lot of plays called? Did you have whiteboards?
Yeah, we had a lot of plays and most of them were called Randy.
Just just chuck a shot up. Okay.
I'm kidding. Yeah, we had a lot, maybe 10 set plays, maybe. And maybe 4 or 5, 6 out of bounds plays. But man, I can't imagine playing under the system y'all play under today.
You know, I would be curious only because when you think of a coaching tree, you think of how so Randy played at the same time as McDermott.
Mhm.
And it makes you wonder if there's like this Coach Barry tree where, McDermott learned a play or two from Barry and then Jake
Right.
learned a play or two from McDermott. It makes you wonder, like maybe there's a play
Oh,
there that might have come from Jim Barry once upon a time.
there might be,
But
could be.
Panther Collective questions of the week directly from the fans. We're actually, and now Randy, you might not know this, but Ben has actually become quite the guitar player and singer. And I had to go listen for myself. He does a stellar job. Maybe we'll have to put some of the songs on this episode here. But in a
Right.
dream world, if you could pick being an NBA player or a famous singer, which would you choose and why?
That's such a hard question, and I've thought about that before too. Uh, I think I would do at this point of my life. I think I would do famous singer. I think I
Yeah.
would.
Yeah, why
Yeah,
is that?
I think I'd switch it up and go famous singer. Um, I don't know. I think I just want to experience what that's like. Like I've had being a college basketball player. Obviously, being pro is my goal. But if I can just snap of the fingers
Mm.
instantly, famous singer and great guitar player like that, I think that'd be pretty cool.
If we were playing Survivor, what team member and what coach would you bring along with you? And what team member and what coach would you vote off your island if we were playing Survivor?
Oh gosh. Okay, player, I'll choose Huddy. That's my roommate. That's
Uh,
my. I can't
that's
vote. I can't. That's
No, you got to keep him. Good point.
yeah. And then I'll vote on Trey because that's my roommate on the road. And he smokes. So I need my sleep if I'm trying to survive. So
Good point.
Just too loud at night. Yeah, I get
too
it.
loud. He's going to attract predators. We're going to be done. So,
Good point. How about the coaching staff? Who are you going to keep and who are you going to vote off?
all right, who I'll keep? I'll keep G because I work out with him the most,
Okay.
and we have a good line of communication, and I think that will translate to surviving.
Yeah.
Um, and who I will vote off will be Tut because we joke around too much, and if we're trying to survive, we need to be serious. And I
You need
don't
to be
know
focused.
capability to do that. So
All
That's
right,
a
brought it
smart
back,
move
Chuck.
because I feel like if Coach G was watching this episode and he heard that he was being voted off, he would like take it out on you. Like that was
yeah,
really smart to pick him because
yeah, my
Totally.
workouts would be way harder. I'd be doing a lot more running.
yeah,
But
yeah.
those offensive plays now that are supposed to be called for Ben are no longer going to be called for Ben. They're going to go to someone else.
I'll go rebound and get it that way.
There you go. Good point. Good point. Pre-game meal. Like, what's your favorite pre-game meal that's your go-to?
Well, I always have a steak the morning of. Always have a steak.
Okay.
And I don't know, have you guys seen the movie Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell?
No.
No.
No? Okay,
No.
never mind. I won't throw a movie.
All
But
right.
that's always a tradition of mine. I always have a steak in the morning of a game.
Okay.
Okay.
The morning. Okay. So let's see how much of a legit steak eater you are then. Is what cut do you have?
Ooh.
Usually just go with a ribeye.
Ooh,
All
okay.
right.
You didn't get the cheap sirloin though. I like that. That's good. That's good. So, hey, if life was a video game and you could turn one basketball trait up to 99, what stat would that be?
Speed or handle, my handle.
Okay.
One of
Good one.
those two. Yeah.
Good one. Another question. Favorite school to visit and play at or arena in the Valley?
I think Bradley. Bradley is always a good one. They got a good fan sport and it's always rocking in their gym. That's a fun atmosphere to play
Basketball drill that you hate the absolute most.
in. Okay, so when me and G work out, we do some ball handling and it's called machine gun ball handling. And so you have two basketballs and you're pounding them as hard as you can and chopping your feet all the way down the court, all the way back. You'll do that a couple times. It burns you out.
I'm picturing it.
Wow. Yeah, right. Favorite restaurant?
Fast food or anything?
Anything.
Hmm. Fast food's on my mind right now, so I'll
Okay.
go Raising Cane's.
Raising Cane's. Good one.
What do you like about that place? Is it the bread? What is it about the place you like?
Bread is delicious. I think the sauce is what kind of puts everything over the top, though.
Hmm.
Okay.
Well, along those same lines, you're from the Chicagoland area. Do you put ketchup on your hot dogs?
Of course,
You do.
of
Okay.
course. Yeah.
Okay. So, hey, fellow Panther, you hate playing defense against the most, and the one you hate playing defense against you.
Um, I don't like playing against Leon because he can do everything. So it's just like you always have to be locked in. Like he's just always going to do something to get you. The person I don't like guarding me is Trey because his hands are good with getting steals and just being disruptive.
Hmm.
So it can be annoying.
Well, you're in the locker room. They have that humongous TV that you're watching all the plays. You're screwing around. You throw a basketball. You break the TV. Which coach are you telling first and why?
I'm going to G. I'm going to G and tell him.
The financial architect's quote of the week. All right. So this really isn't a quote this week. It's more of a saying, and I think it's going to fit very appropriately with what we've been talking about. So we say something here, Ben, and then you kind of chime in on about the quote or about the saying. So financial architect's quote of the week: a coach's job is to help you win at basketball and win at life.
I think a lot of people think that a coach's job is just to help them perform on the court and just develop them as basketball players, but they're also role models in our life. And you're away from family. Obviously, we're grown men now, but you're away from family, you're away from your parents, you're away from your hometown friends. And now these are the guys that you're looking up to as men in your life. And so for them to develop you as a person as well is just as important, I think.
Well, Ben, it was great having you join us today. Really appreciate your time. Any final words for Panther fans before we let you go?
Just stick with us, keep supporting us, keep coming out to games and showing us support. We really appreciate it, and we're going to keep it rolling. So thank you for having me on, by the way. I appreciate it.